your graciousness and your kindness. We give thanks for your steadfast love. Your faithfulness extends forever. And we love your name. Oh, and we love your ways. We sit at your table, oh, our King. Live in your grace. Teach us your words. Oh, hold us in your arms and carry us to where we belong. Awaken our hearts to all you have called us to, and we will honor your name. Your steadfast love extends forever. Your faithfulness awakens our love. Your judgments are true. Your wisdom is pure and holy. And we come to you. Oh, 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 my God, we come to you. Oh, 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 our God, we come to you in your steadfast love, your faithfulness, your graciousness, your mercy, your kindness, your goodness, your worthiness. And oh, oh, our God, we come to you. Oh, 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 our God, we come to you. Receive us now in your courts. Embrace us now with your arms. Receive us now in your arms. Welcome us into your heart. Do I? Hallelujah. I don't know, I guess. I don't know if that's a commentary on I've been meditating in Psalm 36 lately, and that'll mess you up in a hurry, so I just want to warn you, if you ever get the inclination to hit Psalm 36, it will sort of, we're at a stage in Torah. This is the second phase. We began the first 28 Parsha before Passover, and then Passover hits, and then we come through this season of freedom, And he begins to take us into the home stretch. And it's 20, we're at 28, so we've got 27 more. 26 more. There's almost halfway. We're about halfway through the cycle. And what that basically means to us is that when you think Hebraically, nothing is at the beginning or the end. Well, there's lots at the beginning and the end, but they're not the substance of the central theme. The central theme is found in the middle. The central theme is the pebble that's thrown in the water. And from that central theme, everything breaks out. So what that should tell you is we're right at the central theme. We're right at the essence of what he is doing and which side of the ripples we are on, which side of the pebble that hits the water we are on at a given time. Season time tells us where we are in his rhythms and his ways. And I'm speaking somewhat in riddles, and I want to get specific, and we will. But let's just kind of talk about where we have come so that we can start this process wisely, circumspectly, and with some level of responsibility to take up where we come from and not go back to the foundations and elemental things every single week, every single time, because he's called us into this amazing walk with him. I am constantly blown away the deeper and the more. I was 25 years of daily doing this, daily delving into it, and it's like I'm a child. I'm a little child opening these doors. I went through about 5 years of thinking I knew what I was talking about, and because I'd done it for 10 years or so, and gosh, I knew all this stuff, and I knew how to do all that stuff, and I knew what the sages said, and I knew what the Christian theologians said, and I knew, and I had this sense that somehow or other, somewhere in there, that I was comfortable with the Torah, and then I opened the new phase, and the new phase said, oh, no, you never get comfortable with me. You get comfortable with me, and you realize you're dying inside, and you're mad at everybody. And you're upset with people about stuff that's doing. And you're looking at sin as if it was going to destroy the world when you don't understand me. And he says, wait a minute, you mean I'm not here to be the condemning force that tells everybody what they're doing wrong? That I'm not here to stand in the gap and put my finger in the wall? No, you're here to shine the brilliance of the beauty of the light of God into situations and show there is another way. There's a better way. There's a more beautiful pathway, a more excellent way, as he calls it. And that more excellent way is right where we are. We're at that discussion. We're getting to the level of getting to the more excellent way. And then as we do that, as we talk about this more excellent way, and I'll tell you that people don't really understand this, but there's a love chapter that most Christian people understand in 1 Corinthians 13. Love is this, and love is that, and love is not this, and love is not that, and so and so and so and so and so and so. And what they doesn't understand is that came out of Leviticus chapter 19. Leviticus 19 is the love chapter of the Torah, and we're almost there. We are beginning with Leviticus 16, so you can see that in the next 2 weeks we're going to hit the central theme of Torah. We're going to hit the central theme of all revelation of God to man, is that I'm going to teach you how to love people like I love you. And that's the other secret. We think that word means love your neighbor as yourself. But then you go through all this mental gyrations. I don't love myself very much, so I don't need to love my neighbor very much. That's not what kamocha means. Kamocha, love yourself. I have re'echa, kamocha means to love as you yourself are loved. So this process of a new community, a amazing group of people that will walk upon the face of the earth and whose primary characteristic will be that they love other people as they themselves have been loved by the creator of the universe. And they totally redefine what love looks like and what love means. Now this is a central theme of the revelation of God, is that I am calling forth a people that will not be like the rest of the world, that will not love like the rest of the world. That's the most important thing when you get down to that issue. So how do you learn to love like that? It's over this course of the next few weeks we're going to learn that process. He's going to start in Leviticus 16 by telling us the essential ingredient, pointing out to us and revealing to us the essential ingredient before we'll ever be able to love anybody. with any degree, with any ounce of how much he loves us, atonement must be our natural state. We must understand the state of atonement. And we must understand the beauty and the majesty of what he has done and what he does, what he wants to do for all people, and therefore we will never focus and fixate on their sin ever again. That does not mean we will acknowledge it. That does not mean we will approve of it. That does not mean we will condone it. It just means that it will never be the focus of our conversations with him. Just like Yeshua's conversation with the woman at the well was not about her sin. Just like Yeshua's conversation with Zacchaeus was not about his sin. This is not the way the master does things, is to go right to the issue that is the white elephant, big elephant between us and him. He says, no, I see beyond the elephant. It's not going to be a smoke screen to me. I want to see beyond your elephant and see who I made, who I created. What the beautiful child that I designed in my drawing room and wrote books about how beautiful that child is. That's the one I'm going to look at. I'm going to go around the elephant of their sin to get to the place where I'm speaking to the one that I created. Now that is our mission, and that is your calling. I hope you're ready for this. This is the weightier things of Torah. We're going to be, over the next 2 weeks, these are going to be the weightier things of Torah. You hear Paul talk, or Yeshua talking about this with you do these little things. Oh, you wear your tzitzit out, you do all this good stuff, and you tithe of the mint and the cumin, and you do all these things. And there's nothing wrong with doing those things, but the problem is you forgot why you're here in the first place. You're here to love people as you yourself have been loved. And when you lose that, you lose the essence of your identity. You lose the essence of your mission. You lose the essence of your connection with the Creator and the calling upon your life. And now you become walking dead men. You're zombies with all this religious knowledge, with all this information that you process and spit out. He says that kills people. That kills people. It destroys your environment. It toxifies your environment. And so he wants us to learn. Now, we're also in the season of counting the Omer, and this is day 14, according to the traditional count. This is day 14 of counting the Omer. And what does that mean? What am I talking about? What does that mean? Obviously, that means that we are in a season of exponential growth. The whole idea of counting the Omer, it's called the Omer. It's not counting the number. I mean, I know there's this fixation about the number. It's about counting the Omer. It's about measuring the Omer. And an Omer is a grain, a sheaf of grain, of wheat. It is about seeing how far we are from sprouting and how close we are to harvest. How far along are we in this harvest process? Are we ready to bring forth life? Are we ready to bring forth food for the nations? Are we ready to become all we were created to be? This is the message of the Omer, the counting of the Omer. And so we all count numbers, and it's the 14th day, and that's just counting the number. The issue is, how are you doing? How are you coming? How's your wheat coming? How grows your wheat? How grows the kernel of life that I put in you? How grows this issue of the most substantive thing that I put into your calling? How is your love? How's your love doing? Not how's your attitude doing, how's your opinion doing, how's your intellect doing, how's your criticism doing, how's your love doing? Because this is the creek. How's the Omer? How's this beautiful nation that I have planted upon the face of the earth, marked by one thing, which is the love that I have shown for them, that comes out of them into other people. How is that coming? And that's why he says, I'm going to bring you to a fullness of a harvest. And we're going to go. We're counting something. We're counting this Omer, this growth, up to the time of the wheat harvest. Up to the time whenever the outpouring takes place and the harvest begins to break forth. And that's Shavuot. That's Pentecost. That day is the day in which we see the fullness of it manifested around us. And no longer are we concerned about all the negativity. We have too much positivity about the kingdom of heaven to release. So what is the essence? We also understand that today should be predicting that we'll see a new moon tonight, predicting that there'll be a shift. And so as every season we go through the cycles, where are we? You need to know where you are in the rhythms and where you are in the cycles. We are leaving the month of Nisan. We are leaving the first month of the biblical year, and we are now stepping into phase 2. phase 2 of this grand plan, phase 2 of his state. Are we ready to move out of phase 1 into phase 2? Now, phase 1 is that sense of we are free, and our freedom means something. We talked about that last week. What did he set you free from, and what did he set you free for and unto? And what are you going to do with this freedom that he has given you? And now we're ready to move into phase 2, where it's operational. It's not theoretical anymore. It's operational. And you begin to function in the form of the freedom that he gave you. So, if you would, turn to Leviticus 16. And realizing we've got a new phase, he's going to actually said, what did you learn from Nadab and Abihu? What did you learn? Don't play with strange fire. What? Do it his way. Exactly. Do it. Why? Why do it his? Because he's just a mean guy? No. Because he has a plan for us that is totally amazing, and unless we learn to do it his way, it'll not get done in our lifetime. Not by us. We will be on the sidelines watching this glorious thing take place, and we don't want to be on the sidelines. I mean, what a waste of an opportunity for him to bring us out of our bondages and to take us into a realm in which we can actually get outside of our limitations and restrictions, our wounds and hurts from the past, our feelings of inadequacy, and totally let him take over our beings, our minds, the way we think, our hearts, the way we feel and express and deal with other people. How an amazing opportunity. We don't waste that. So he says, I'm going to take you back to 1 Nisan. Before we move into the next month, let's go back to 1 Nisan. 8 Nisan. What happened on 8 Nisan in the year of the deliverance, of the year of the great coming out of Egypt? What happened on 8 Nisan, the year, which would be almost 1 year from the date of the Passover? They set up the tabernacle. They set up the Mishkan. It was set up 7 days now past of consecration, and the priests have gone through 7 days of consecration. And during that period, they have not, Aaron and his sons, representing us, representing Messiah, they have not left the tabernacle for 7 days. And on the 8th day, the people are invited in. The book of Leviticus is about, and he called. And God called Moshe because the presence of, the manifest presence, the Shekinah, fell on the camp in the tabernacle, and no one could enter. And then the next words are Vayikra, come, and he called. And God called Moshe. And this whole book that we're reading is about God's calling us into that intimate place. And therefore, there are certain things you got to leave behind to come into that intimate place, and certain things you need to make sure you have as you walk in that intimate place. And so he's done that with him, and now he's going to do it again with the entire community. And so what happens is, for the first time, the doors, the passageway, the way into the Mishkan is open for the human being, ordinary Jew and the mixed multitude, to come in to the tabernacle. First time they've seen it. They've made the little component parts of it. First time, 8 Nisan. Can you imagine? Wow, we get to go in there. We get to, ordinary, average Joes, we get to go in there. Now, obviously, there's parts of it that you're not going to go into, but the opening door, the way, you've never been in there before. It's been, no one, and Moses went in there, and now Aaron and his sons have gone in there, and now it's our turn. So we walk in, and there's Aaron and his sons, Nadab, Abihu, Itamar, and Eleazar, and the 4 sons are there with him, and he comes forth, and he blesses the people. And then he and Moshe go into this other place in the middle here. And we don't know what they're doing. We got a feeling, we sense, but they come out. And when they come out, they're different. And when they come out, they raise their hands. Both of them raise their hands, and then they both bless us together. There's a blessing released from heaven upon us at that particular stage. Pretty powerful day, 8 Nisan. But that's not even the end of the story. That's not even the best part of the story. The best part of the story is, remember that they've been in this place for consecration. And they had laid out all the things that were supposed to be placed on the altar in the outer court where we get to go. There they are. There's no fire. There's nothing burning. It's just like we're waiting for something. We're waiting for something to come. And they've got parts of animals here and on the altar. And all of a sudden, as they bless us, after Moshe and Aaron both bless us, the second blessing, and they both bless us this particular stage, suddenly from heaven, fire comes down and it hits that altar and all around that altar, and whoosh! And then the fire is actually burning on this altar right there in the middle. We have divine, it's not something man kindled. How precious is it for you to have a fire that's kindled by God himself? And that's why you never let it go out, because you see it's God's fire. You never let it go out. You said, I don't need your fire anymore, God. I can make my own. Which is the problem with Nadab and Abihu. Now, when it says that whenever the fire fell on the 8th day of Nisan, when the fire fell and hit everyone, every man, everyone in the community who was gathered at that particular stage falls on their faces. Step 2. They fell on their faces and they worshiped the Lord God. They worshiped Yahweh. Wouldn't you? I mean, wouldn't that be the most natural thing how would you stop yourself? How would you? But Nadab and Abihu had seen some stuff, you see. They were up on the mountain in Exodus 24 with the 70. They were up there with the 70 and Moses and Aaron. Eleazar and Ithamar weren't there, but those two went with those guys, and they saw up at the top of the mountain, they saw the throne, and they actually looked upon the presence, whatever it looked like, the very manifest presence of Yahweh at that particular time. And they ate and they drank in his presence, and they did not die. And they had a sense of familiarity with that, I guess, or something, where they did not fall on their faces and worship him, whether it be against their will or with their will. You know, well, you never know what happens whenever you feel that amazing gift of the Holy One. Could I resist this? Probably. Do I want to resist it? No. And people say, it's all flesh. He says, no, it's part flesh. All right, and we get that process. So Nadab and Abihu, they don't fall on their faces. Instead, they say, that's pretty cool. I can do that too. Remember the magicians in Egypt? You know, throws down the rod. Moshe throws down the rod. Pharaoh, that's a pretty good trick. Crocodiles right here in my, because it doesn't say Nachash, it doesn't say serpent, it says crocodile. We read it as serpent because we see the later. Anyway, so crocodiles rolling around my courtyards here in the king's palace, and so Pharaoh looks at his magicians, and they're a big help. They make more crocodiles. It's just one of those things. Like, really, seriously, we need more crocodiles. I think we need less crocodiles. But your help is you can reproduce what you just saw. At least you can make us think you reproduced what you just saw. And therefore, God can't be that powerful because you can do it. Men can do stuff on their own. And so here he is. Here's Nadab and Abihu, and they say, we can make fire too. And they take their censer and they make their own fire, and then they try to go into the holy place with this fire. And they have crossed a line they can't ever get back from. They have gone, and it's like, okay, this is all about glorifying and honoring the creator of the universe, and you can't honor yourself, and you can't honor mankind and do that at the same time. And the fire, when you enter into the place where the fire is, you deal with it. And so they walked right into that area, and the fire consumed them. That was just, but the interesting thing, it consumed their bodies, but their garments were not consumed. Why were their garments not consumed? Because the garments are holy. This is why we know we can be in the presence of God and not be consumed, because we have his garments on. We have the garments of his righteousness upon us. Their garments were not even singed, but their bodies melted and disappeared. Now, this is the story of 8 Nisan. And of course, at that particular stage, that is not just two young, bright men doing their own thing. That is the very sons of Aaron. Kind of puts another twist on this dedication day when it's our first time into the sanctuary. Hopefully, we took some lessons home from that. Not God's an angry God. Hope that's not the lesson we took. He'll zap you. And I've heard teachings on this Nadab and Abihu story, Watchman Nee, and some of the spiritual warfare, spiritual authority teachings that he does when he tries to extrapolate this into a situation if you need to obey the leaders of your local church. Oh boy. I understand what he's trying to say, but you cannot take this as that. This is not that. So what is it? What it is to say, do you understand who you're dealing with here? Do you understand what he has called you to? And if you choose a different way, how impossible it is for you to fit into the situation. How you can fit. You're either going to serve the Holy One and love Him and be the one who has this love that in your heart for all people, or you're going to try to make your own form of religion and your own set of rules, your own set of protocols. Have your own meeting schedules, have your own ways of thinking, your own sacraments. You're going to make up your own stuff and call it God stuff because you have a robe on or you have a garment on. This is the what have we learned from Nadab and Abihu? Well, what have we learned from Nadab and Abihu? Look around your world. Is what you see in the name of Yahweh or in the name of Jesus, as whichever wish you want to go, with the Jewish side or whether you go the Christian side. In either way, look at what you see and ask yourself this question. What have we learned from Nadab and Abihu? Don't. Why? Because there's something so much better and more grand than that. But unfortunately, we are raised in it. Especially in America, we're raised in this culture where we don't have the desire or the hunger to search these things out for ourselves and to know the one who sent the fire. We just want the environment that makes us feel a little better about ourselves and isolates us a little bit from the world. And so what we have is the exact opposite of what happened on that 8 Nisan. We have taken the position largely of Nadab and Abihu as opposed to the rest of the community. And so what you see around you are mostly Nadab and Abihu ministries. Now, are they capable of God using them in some way because He loves people? Of course, people can be touched in any number of ways. The real issue becomes, why do we not do it God's way? And what would it look like if we did it God's way? And why, if the central theme of Torah is loving other people unconditionally without issues as to their sin, and not making that the criteria, or their response to us, if it is absolute extravagant love, then why is that not our primary theme as well? Why is our primary theme politics? You know, righteousness in government, though we don't have righteousness in our house. We want, the politicians to be righteous. But we watch stuff on television and why is it that we want to project outward these issues to other people in theory and our abstract ideas as opposed to doing what He called us to do and being who He called us to be? These are the issues. What have we learned from the deaths of Nadab and Abihu? Now, I want to tell you what we're supposed to have learned from the deaths of Nadab and Abihu. And that's this thing called atonement. Because you see, He's not just telling you, do you remember when Nadab and Abihu burned up? Now He said, I want to tell you how to do it my way. I want to tell you what happens when you do it my way. I want you to have a hunger for what happens when you do it my way, because just being against doing it your way is not enough. It's not the message you're supposed to be communicating to the world. The world doesn't need another message of what happens if you do it wrong. The world needs a message of what happens if you do it right. How will this transform the environment? How will this change everything if you do it the way he does it? How will that happen? And that's what he's going to give us in Leviticus chapter 16. And so he's going to write a script for us. He says, I want to talk to you about a day. I want to talk to you about a day. I want to talk to you about the greatest day ever. I want to whet your appetite for the most glorious, most wonderful day ever that will ever be. The Day of Atonement. Yom Kippur, the ultimate great day that you will ever see, the world, mankind will ever see. And I want you to learn how to prophetically rehearse it like a play. Every year. Every year, I want you to know the script for this passion play that projects the greatest day that will ever occur in mankind's relationship with God. And that is the Day of Atonement. That is the day whenever, though we have been guilty of many transgressions, though we have rebelled, though we have done all sorts of things, if we have stayed within the basic idea of pursuing him and following him, he says, I will do something for you that will rock the world. And that will establish a kingdom upon the earth. That my Messiah will rule over the earth. And it will shift the atmosphere throughout the actual natural earth before I create new heavens and new earth. And it will be the redemption of man. The great day, the great and awesome day. I hope you love Yom Kippur. I hope you have learned to appreciate that day when we prophetically rehearse our own death and our own appearance before the great King. Every year, he said, I want you to rehearse. What would it be like if you died today? If you died today, just like that. If you died today, what would it be like if you go into the very throne room, if you go in the presence, and you know he's sitting in this seat, in the great seat? What would it be like? What would he say to you? What would he do for you? Where would you stand in that regard? He says, Leviticus 16. He says, now Yahweh spoke to Moshe after the death of the two sons of Aaron when they were offered strange fire before the Holy One and died. And the Lord said to Moshe, tell Aaron, your son, your brother, not to come just any time into the holy place inside the veil, before the atonement seat, the mercy seat, which is in the ark, lest he die, for I will appear in the cloud above the mercy seat. Can you picture him? Do you sense him appearing in the cloud above the mercy seat, above the kippah? Do you picture him? Because you see, if you can't picture that, then you can't presume, you can't rehearse dying. This is a necessary facet that we would be able to rehearse dying, that we could picture him. We could sense that he would really come down from heaven to earth and touch us in some realm, and actually we would have this encounter with him. He promises that. And he says, Aaron shall come into the holy place with the blood of a young bull as a chatat, and as a ram as a olah. And he will put the holy linen tunic and the linen trousers on his body. What is he putting on his body? Now, this is where a lot of people get confused, because they think he's putting on the blue robe and the ephod and the jewels. He's not. The only thing he's putting on is the linen. He's coming not clothed in the robe. He's coming and he's bringing the white linen. And we all know from Revelation that the white linen is the righteous acts of the saints. That's what white linen represents, the righteous acts of the saints. He's coming not in perfect acts, not in, because we'll learn about, hopefully get a chance to talk about this issue of what the instructions of God mean and why that you can never hope to fulfill them, much less obey them. Those are English concepts that totally cannot be applied to Hebrew thought or Hebrew messages. what we do is immerse ourselves in them. It's like you cannot drink the Mississippi River, but you can get in it and swim in it. That's the difference between what we think in English of obey and fulfill this rule, this mitzvah, this instruction for living, this judge. We think we can fulfill it or obey it. He says, well, I never asked you to do that. I never told you to do that. I told you to do certain things in Hebrew, certain Hebrew verbs that I told you to do. And here's the Hebrew verbs I told you to do with these instructions I gave you. I told you to shamar them, which means to start a continuum, beginning with highly valuing, prioritizing, and cherishing them. And in carrying forth to thinking about them, meditating on them, and cherishing them in your heart in such a way that they start coming out of your mouth and you start talking about them. And this is your meditation. This is your discussion of the things that I've said. And then you begin to see them come out in your ordinary activities, and you will be carefully guarding anything that might interfere with that. And this process, this whole continuum of the process of shamaring is what I've told you to do with them. And you will never get to the end of the continuum. Not in this life. Take the pressure off of yourself and everybody else around you. You see how this is how he's going to teach us to love other people as he loves us. Because we will not say, you didn't do this right. We will say, well, it hasn't happened yet. You're in the process too. You're in this process of development as well. We can't judge you on where you are now. That's not what we're here for. We're here to see you further on down the continuum and how to encourage you to leave where you are and move further to the continuum of how shamaring looks. The second thing he told us to do with them is to asah them. And we read that as do. But the Hebrew word asah is what happens whenever it starts right here when Gary gets this beautiful vision in his head. That what he would like to make for his wife is a garden. I don't know whether you do that or not. He wants it to have rows of different things, different flowers. And he wants it to then follow behind that with perennials, things that will be always there. Then he wants to follow that with annuals, and he wants to follow that with fruit trees. And he wants to have this beautiful garden for her coming layer by layer by layer by layer into the process. And to do that, what he has to do is he has to find and acquire the natural resources to make this happen. And then he has to start digging in the dirt. And removing everything that's not what he wants for his wife. Pulling it out. This is asahing. And then he has to start taking and fertilize this ground where it will grow the various different things, the specific type of ground that some of it's acidic. And some of it's going to be pH, different pH. He's going to have different things. It needs different levels of nutrients. And he's going to know that, and he's going to start digging and making this garden for his beloved bride. And he'll work with the ground. And you know what a garden is? A garden is never done. You know that about a garden? A garden is never done. Even when the end of the season comes and it dries up, the issue is now is it's the next year's garden. You're thinking about the next year's garden. And you plow it under and you begin to let that fertilize, and you go back to the same process again. And this process of keeping reproducing itself over and over again. Now you got asahing, the whole issue. What are you supposed to do with his words? You're supposed to keep building a garden where they grow and become manifest and they produce fruit. And then doing it over and over again and seeing it reproduce itself outside of yourself, because now that's what seed does, right? You plant one and it grows 14. And they grow 14. Each one of those grows 14. And it reproduces outside of itself. And now you are ahead of us. Now you got half the city of the garden. Hopefully. This is what he wants to do. So he says, if you understand that, then if you give me the first work, if you give me a little effort in this garden, then I'm going to do something for you on this day, this great day. On this great day, I'm going to tell you something about that. And so he's going to make it the Day of Atonement. He's going to do a little script, and there are basically three scenes in this act, in this play, which is a prophetic rehearsal of the great Day of Atonement. And the first little phase is what he does right there in front of everybody. You remember where the fire fell? Out there on the 8th day of Nisan. He's going to do this little rehearsal, and he's going to ask the community to bring him 2 goats. 2 goats. And he's going to cast lots for these 2 goats, over these 2 goats. And this is just a play. This is just a rehearsal. This is just a way to communicate his truth. Everything in the Mishkan, everything in the tabernacle is about showing you in picture form. Every picture tells a story, what he's going to do on the great day. So he has Aaron, who represents Yeshua the high priest. He is going to present, he's going to call for each side. Bring me this goat, bring me this goat. And they bring the best goats, and they bring them, and he casts lots over the 2 goats. And over one of the goats, he calls it, he says this is for Adonai, for Yahweh. This one is for Yahweh. Now, being for Yahweh is great for us, but not good for the goat. Now, it's great for the goat, at least initially. At least from the standpoint of the way we think about it in the flesh, because this goat means he's going to go on that altar where that fire is, where that fire fell from heaven. He's going to become a presentation for us. He is going to take our place with regard to that. And the other one is the other lot that he cast, this scene, this act that he's playing out, is he's going to wrap a red, by tradition, he wrapped a red cord around the head of the other one, and so it would be not marked and known what it was, and he declared it to be for Azazel, unto Azazel. And boy, you can never get discussions about what Azazel means. I love to be around Jewish people when they're talking about Azazel, because they got 45 different opinions. we won. What's your one? You want to know one? All right. Want to know one, that Azazel was a hill around Sinai. One, basic one. Azazel was the name of a hill around Sinai that was not Sinai. In other words, it was separated from the camp, but it was another place that this goat could go. Another one is that it was Hasatan. It was Satan. Azazel is Hasatan, and Satan. And he is being delivered unto Satan. And from there it goes every possible way unto the land of Esau. I'm not trying to teach you Hebrew legend. I'm just trying to get you. You can go crazy about what Azazel means, but the reality is he doesn't tell you. He doesn't ever tell us. There's no way we're ever going to know until it's a mystery he wants us to understand. There's a mystery. You ever understand plays? And sometimes they don't want you to know the answers. They want you to hunger with the questions. They want you to burn inside with what is this about and what does this mean? Okay, so he just says, this one's for Azazel. And so he puts his hand, this is the second, in the same scene, he takes his hands, Aaron takes his hands, and he puts them on the head of this one for Azazel. And he speaks the name, the words, of every sin that anybody in the community of the redeemed has committed. Well, if you've ever been to a synagogue service on Yom Kippur, and you've heard the Achet, which is all the sins. It's like, by the end of it, of course, you're covering up. The sins of the mouth, and we've spoken with anger, and we've spoken and we have the sins of the flesh, we said the sins of the eyes, we have the sins, and they go through all these sins of this. It's like, and every time you say, tradition in the synagogue, okay, for all the sins we've committed with our eyes, and you hit your chest because you realize that while we're saying we have done this, this is me. I'm not only, I've probably done it myself, but I'm also part of this community, and this affects me and my children in my household as well. This issue. So here's the predecessor of Al-Het is what Aaron did out there with that goat for Azazel. And he pronounces all the sins, every breach of the covenant that has been committed, willingly, unwillingly, knowingly, unknowingly, so that there is nothing that can possibly be left out, that there could have been a breach of the covenant of Yahweh that they've done that is not on this goat. Because when he leaves, he's to take that sin with him. He is to take it as a transference off of Rory on the goat, off of Cynthia onto the goat, off of Mark onto the goat, off of each one of us in the community, every single one, 600,000 men plus women and children, every sin that they have committed is to be taken off of that person, relieved from them, and there's something they have to do in this process too. But in the process, it's put on that goat, and it's going to be sent off into the wilderness. And it will be in the camp no more. He's going to remove the sin from the people in the camp, though they are the ones who were guilty of it. This is a great day. This is a great day, guys. This is the great day. And I hope you get a hunger for this great day when you can see this happening, not just for you, but for the person next to you, and the person on the street, and the person who's walking as a prostitute, and the person who's walking as a homosexual. And you see that the possibility has been made for something to carry their sin off into the wilderness away from them, and they don't have to be under it the rest of their life. This is how we're going to learn to love our neighbor as we ourselves are loved. This is how we're going to rock the world, because we cannot see them in the midst of their sin anymore because it's been carried away out of our camp, off of their shoulders, off of their hearts.
Listening to you the last few weeks, you were saying that sin is more like a breaking of covenant, not really a moral issue or anything like that. So, in essence, are we like healing that broken covenant that everybody's made and making a covenant whole again? And I guess that's it.
Yeah. This is part of the world of mankind that has got us all glumpuzzled. That somehow we think that sin means that we have fallen off a moral wagon, or dropped into we've got issues of morality or social, what's the right word? Socially unacceptable behavior. And therefore, we judge other people based on whether we think they're moral, or their behavior is moral, or whether we think their behavior is socially unacceptable. He says those are not God's criteria. God doesn't think in those terms. He thinks in one term. I have presented you a covenant. I have given you my way. When you don't do it my way, it's not morality that's your problem. It's rebellion against me. Yes, I'm saying immoral. There's no such thing as being immoral. What I'm saying is being immoral, it means that we have adopted the mental mindset of this earth. The sin is not immorality, because there's no such thing. It's a figment of our imagination. It's a figment of fallen human imagination. God does not speak in terms of morality. He speaks in terms of His way and His instructions for life, and to breach that is to breach the covenant. Now, we may think of it in our human terms as being moral or immoral, but that will change generation by generation. Matter of fact, it'll change in us year by year. We think of different things. If you had shown... I was watching a television show the other day. And the individual, it was a comedy. And the individual on the comedy referred to someone's behind with the word ass. And said it about 5 times. Now, in 1964, they would have been strung up by the society for saying that thing. But in 2016, good heavens. In 2016, it's like, yeah, so what? And you say, well, there's nothing wrong with saying ass. That's the point. Morality defines things based upon what we think is socially acceptable. It's not God. God doesn't... What a lie we have bought from the enemy that somehow other morality is our issue. And therefore, then we make morality an issue for the political world. We try to impose upon the political world morality that we don't even impose upon ourselves. And therefore, we're playing weird games in our head and not accomplishing anything. And we're not loving people the way we ourselves are loved. Instead, we're judging people the way we do not want to be judged. What a complete perversion of the way of God. So what I'm saying is, when you see in your NIVs, he talks about sexually immoral people, immediately understand that is not what's at issue here. That is an NIV translation that tries to put into the context of the worldview. And you will not find in the Hebrew any word that means morality or immorality. It's all action-based. It's all whether or not you follow the instructions of the king or not. Zana is you got zana, then and even the Greek pretty much gets it. Porneo. Pornero and porneo. They get it. They understand this is about action, not about theology or theory or abstract information or issues like morality. So these are the issues. And now, so we're in the play. We're in the middle of the play, and we've sent off this goat. Now, I want you to see that if we focus on morality, we lose the goat. And that's why we don't have a goat. That's why we don't have a love. Because we focus on this morality issue. And we can't let it go. It eats us alive. And he says, this is not the plan, guys. The plan is that you put it on the goat and send it out. And it's about me, about my covenant, because I want you to be in covenant with me. So that was part Act 1. Act 1 takes place, and then Act 2 takes place inside. There's one more thing. He actually slaughters the bull, the ram. And he takes the blood and the anointing oil, and he goes outside of our presence. This is phase 2. This is what happens in heaven. Every time you see him go into the holy place, this is Yeshua going into heaven. This is the beautiful picture. Every picture tells a story. And he says, when you see the Aaron go into the holy place, you understand you're talking about the great high priest going into the holy place in heaven. And so he goes in there, and what he does inside there is he takes the blood of the thing that was meant for us, and he puts it, of the thing that was cleansed for us, and he takes it, he puts it on the mercy seat. He takes incense and he takes oil, and he anoints the inside of this place, and a sweet fragrance comes out. And as Yahweh said, I will appear before you in this cloud of the incense above the mercy seat. And so when he comes out, wearing the linen, he's not got a rope around his neck, around his leg. He doesn't even have bells where you could hear, because the bells are on the blue robe. All that stuff's just theology. It's stuff people made up. Sounds good? People preach it, but it isn't real. He's wearing nothing but linen underpants and a linen garment and a linen hat. And so he comes out, and he doesn't have any of that stuff on, but when he comes out, he's shining with the presence of Yahweh. And he has done in the heavenlies. When Yeshua comes back, he's going to be shining with the radiance of heaven. He comes back into our realm, he will be shining with that radiance. Now, so he comes back, and as he comes back, we then see that he has met with God. We then understand we have these processes. Now, what I said earlier, that we have a part to play in what he is doing in that first act. And that each one of us has a part to play. And that part to play is, in the English language, in the King James it says, you will afflict your souls. I knew I thought about that after. It says you will afflict. On this day you are to afflict your souls. Now, what does that mean? It means you are to pretend you're dead. You are to practice your death, because you don't eat. In Hebrew, afflict souls does not mean necessarily fast, but fasting is one of the aspects of it. Fasting is sort of one of the historical ways in which we know you learn how not to. If you were going to appear before Yahweh tomorrow, would the first thing you do go out to Olive Garden tonight? I doubt it. I mean, that's what people do in the world when they're going to be executed. They have a big last final meal. That's not the way you approach holiness. You approach holiness by saying, wait a minute, I don't need to eat. I need to prepare my heart and prepare my soul for an encounter with the creator of the universe. So therefore, I'm not going to focus on stuff other people focus on. what I normally focus on. This is more important than that. This is so much more critical than that I rehearse appearing before him and my death. And so you rehearse to do that, to afflict your soul. Yeshua called it deny yourself. Well, he called it something Greek or something Aramaic, but we read in English as deny yourself. Don't let yourself, your urges, your physical appetites, your desires, all the stuff that normally makes up people's lives, don't focus yourself on that. Instead, go to the depths of your soul. Now, I've told you y'all understand we got our body, soul, and spirit. This is long. And the soul is the battleground. The mind, the will, and emotions are the battleground. Who are we listening to in our mind? Who are we listening to in our will? And who are we listening to in our emotions? Whose emotions are we feeling? Who are we letting control our emotions? These are the issues. This is the battleground. So he says, cleanse your battleground. Cleanse your battleground, your mind. Take all that stuff you've been thinking out of your brain, out of your thinking processes, all the negativity you got going on, all the self stuff you got. Well, they aren't liking me. They aren't treating me right. Somebody's hurt my feelings. Somebody left me. Somebody abandoned me. Somebody rejected me. Somebody hurt me. All that stuff that's going on in your head, the record that's playing over and over again. Y'all know that one. How many of you are old enough to remember? The one you had the 6 albums, 633 and third RPMs on the little thing, and before you went to bed, and you let each one came on, they played, and another one dropped, another one dropped, another one dropped. The last one, you left the little handle away so it would play over and over and over. This is what you're supposed to get out of in your head. Whatever is normally going, what's your normal self-talk? What's your default? This blew me away when I finally realized that I have self-talk, and I have a certain area of self-talk that is my normal fallback. It's my default. Any of y'all got it? This will set you free from your pain if you'll let it. This will set you free from your lust if you'll let it. This will set you free from your anger if you'll let it. Because that's the thing that's killing you right there. Whatever that last level of self-talk is. If it is not meditation on him and upon his word. He says, I can replace all that negative stuff you're rolling around your head. Conspiracy theories? Wow. Oh boy. End time scenarios. All the stuff that I default to at the very end when I don't have to think about anything else, and my mind is still going. What do I default to? If you could see, what are the repetitive thoughts that keep coming to my head? What are the repetitive things? What are the themes that keep coming back? That's the very thing you got to afflict. Kill it. Kill it. Cut it off, saying, not tonight. I got to meet with the king tomorrow. I don't have time to talk about conspiracy theories. I don't have time to rehearse how bad I got hurt. I don't have time to rehearse how bad I failed. I don't have time to rehearse all these issues about what people are doing in the world, how bad the Antichrist is going to be, or how bad the politicians are behaving. I don't have time. It's not my priority. As a matter of fact, it's so far down on the priorities, it doesn't even enter into my consciousness today. I'm not going to argue with what some preacher said or what some theologian said. I'm not going to argue about whether the speaking in tongues is the initial or the only evidence of being filled with the Holy Spirit. I ain't going there. I ain't got time. It is not the issue. The issue is, what am I doing with the precious gift of life? What have I done with it? And what do I want the Holy One to do for me in that regard? Well, this is the issues of the day. And so we're supposed to, number one, our task is really simple. Kill yourself. Not physically. Not physically. Let yourself die. What caliber? Yeah. People are going to hear that on the CD and they're going to think, oh, what did he say? No, I don't mean that in literal terms. What I'm saying is let yourself die. Die to yourself, as Yeshua would put it. Whew. All your self-talk, all your emotions, all your attitudes, all your opinions about stuff. That's what's killing you and killing your people around you. So die to that stuff. and say, okay, what do you want to fill my heart with? What do you want to fill my mind with? Because I need a refill in this process. So that's number one. Number two is don't do any regular work. But you don't understand. You don't understand. They need me. My grass needs me. My refrigerator needs me. My vacuum needs me. My garden needs me. The bugs out there need me. I can't. What do you mean don't do any regular work? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You don't understand how important I am. They can't go on without me a day. They cannot deal without me. You don't know how important I am and how unimportant you are. Therefore, I will keep doing whatever I dang well please. He says, that's the self you're supposed to kill. That's the one that's supposed to die right there. That mentality that you're that important. And that one day of your time, if you don't do the stuff that you're used to doing and you like to do, it makes you feel important about yourself or makes you mad at other people, one day, then somehow or other the world is going to collapse tomorrow and it'll dissolve into nothingness. And it'll all be your fault because you didn't do that one thing that day. He says, get over yourself, please. Because if you come into the courtrooms tomorrow with that attitude, we're not going to have a nice conversation. I'm going to love you, but I'm going to have to do some strict stuff to you. Because I got to wake you up to I got to wake you up a little bit because that is not going to be helpful for you or for your world for you to have that attitude. Now, this is one of the things about the Sabbath. He said, oh, you're rehearsing this for the Sabbath. Every week, every seventh day. We're supposed to rehearse this. Okay, I could mow the grass. Or I could not mow the grass. I could wait till tomorrow. I could wait till next week. I could go clean the bathroom. Or wash the clothes. Or wash the dishes. Or I could not. Either way, the world's not going to fall apart and die. Only my head and my self-talk will be a problem. I will sit there and say to myself over and over again, the dishes need to be washed. The grass needs to be mowed. What do the neighbors think? There'll be snakes coming in the house. And our self-talk, our self-thought will eat ourselves alive. Anybody else know what I'm talking about? And God's really smart. He really knows human beings. He knows what fallen human beings think. That's why he wants you to have a goat. He wants you to have a goat. All y'all are going to go out and buy goats. I know. Good. So the two things that he wants us to do, he says, die to yourself. Afflict yourself. Yes, it'll probably involve fasting. That's the traditional way of doing it. And I don't know anything better as far as the basic first step. But fasting is not the end. Fasting is the beginning. Not putting anything in your mouth. We all, I remember the first year I did this. First one went to Israel. And got a first trip we had, we got a very secular cab driver. Nobody else was going to be taking, it was a Sabbath, so no one else was going to take us around. Secular cab driver, secular Israeli cab driver, taking us around. And I think Patrick was there with me at the time. And we're discussing with him, trying to see where he is on Torah and where he is on the holidays and Sabbath and all this kind of good stuff. And he says, well, my wife, she's into that. And she said, last year she wanted me to do Yom Kippur, to celebrate Yom Kippur with her. So I did. I fasted all day. She said, I didn't like it. I'm thinking, you didn't like it? Because the fast is not a particular pleasant thing, the physical fast. But if that's all you get out of the Yom Kippur, that I fasted, hallelujah for me, one day. If that's all there is, we put our sights really, really, really low. Whoop-de-doo, you fasted one day. I remember the first long fast I did. And I thought, after that, I said, one day? What's one day? One stinking little day, 24 hours, a couple of meals, here and there. That it's like, But you don't understand, whenever you got to do it, it looks big, it looks huge. But it's also small. So the issue is not just a fasting, although that's a necessary sort of entrance point to the process. The issue is, am I going to die today? Am I going to kill the self-talk? Am I going to kill my own wants and my own desires and put them to death and just want what you want? And just check out what's going on in your heart, King, O King. And just let that be what guides me and rules me. And let me connect with that process. If I'm going to do that, if I can do that, then I have found Yom Kippur. I found this great day. And I have walked in it. And I have tasted it in advance of the great day of the white throne. The great day of my death. So this is Act 1, Act 2. And then there's Act 3. And Act 3, because Act 2 is in our houses, in our places where we are. And Act 3 then is the things that take place outside the camp. One thing is, they don't just take, they take the skin and the offal, the AWFUL and OFAL, both. The stinky stuff out of the inside of the hatat, the one that was offered for in our place. And they take its hide, the external and the internal parts of it, and a man carries it outside the camp, and he burns it. Why does he do it? What's the point? What's the point of taking it outside the camp and burning it and making sure it's destroyed completely and never can come back into camp? It represents, yes, it's unclean. It represents both the emotions and the internal aspects of the sin and the actual physical aspects of the sin itself. And it has gone so, he said, Yeshua will remove our sin from us as far as the east is from the west. He ain't coming back. It doesn't ever have to come back. That's the point. It's going to be burned completely, done away with, disposed of, outside the camp, burned up forever. This idea of the cleansing power of God, what God does to sin, will cause you to look at it a different way. With a covenant breach, he says, I will make it so that it does not exist in the world. I won't just cover your sin and pretend I don't see it. I'm going to make sure it is disposed of and completely annihilated. It should be shouting about now, okay? Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to let you know the greatness of this day. The greatness of this day is not that somehow he overlooked our sin and forgave us of it. He dealt with it and disposed of it, and it no longer has any power over us. It will not ever enter our life unless we take it back. We go out and run around, scrounging around the sin graveyard. Y'all ever do that? Lion King, you know, the elephant graveyard. Everybody ever saw this? The kids can't resist the temptation to go out. The young lions can't go out and look around in the elephant graveyard. And they scrounge around in there, and of course, what they're going to get? They're going to get the hyenas. The hyenas come, and this is a funny part of the movie, but it's a scary part of the movie. But we do that all the time. We go out to the graveyard and start rummaging around in the ashes of the sin that we used to commit. I'm trying to remember, what did that feel like? And thinking, that wasn't so bad. And with the familiar smell, the familiar taste, the familiar feelings that go with it, we begin to pick it out of the ashes. That's why he says, I will replace your ashes with beauty. I will give you beauty for ashes, because half the time we're out there pouring these ashes of our former sins back on our life. All right, well, Day of Atonement. So what does atonement mean anyway? Covering. As a matter of fact, directly, it does mean cover. Kapar. Kippur. Kafar, same word. And the first usage, anybody know when the first usage? I know, Brenda, hush. I know the first usage of this word in Scripture? The ark. Because Noah was told to build an ark of what? What kind of wood? Yeah, and some of your English Bibles don't know how to translate gopher because there's no such thing in our knowledge as gopher wood. And so they just transliterate it as gopher. It's Gimel, Fe, Resh. Gimel, Fe, Resh. That's what's in the Hebrew text. Gopher. Now, he says to Noah, he says, make you this ark made out of gopher wood. And gopher wood, we understand this about it, it was some kind of like an evergreen or something that had much sap in it and streaks in it. And therefore, when you cut it, it immediately began to emit sap. And what that does was seal off the wood. It provides a seal for the wood. Like if you ever cut cedar or you cut cypress or whatever, you know, it has this. It gives a smell to it, but it also has a self-healing kind of a self-sealing kind of an effect to it. So this is that use gopher wood. And he says, and then when you do it, you make it, and he tells him how, and it's going to require a lot of gopher wood. I mean, it's a big ark. It's a big vessel. And it's going to require not just one tree that you just hollow out like a dugout or something you do what the Indians used to do for. This is a big thing. So you're going to cut a bunch of these gopher trees. And you're going to have to cut it into different shapes and sizes. And you're going to have to then put it together in some way. And this is not an ordinary, nice little peaceful flow we're going to have out there on a nice, serene lake. The fountains of the deep are going to burst forth, and the fountains of heaven are going to be released. And it's going to be 40 days and 40 nights solid of torrential downpours and geysers and stuff going on, cyclones and tornadoes, all the tsunamis, and it's going to be crazy beyond any of our imagination is what's going to happen. And so gopher wood will seal itself a little bit, but when you start trying to mortise it together and do whatever, you're still going to have cracks and seams. And while that might or might not be fine if you're on a nice serene little lake going for about 20 feet, if you're going to be out there for 40 days and 40 nights just during the rain, then for another 100 and something days afterwards, while you rest on it for the waters recede, you're going to need to make sure that thing is seaworthy to the max. And so he said to him, he says, now, when you've finished, I want you to kafar. I want you to kafar it. Kafar. And so you see the only difference between the two words is the first Hebrew letter. One was a gimel, gafar, and the other is kafar. And so kafar, he says, I want you to take it and kafar it inside and out with kafar. Hebrew is really funny because kafar. Repeated basically 3 times. I want you to kafar it inside, kafar it outside with kafar. And we read that in English. The English translators don't know what to do with that. And so they put the word pitch. Coat it with pitch. Because we don't know what to do with kafar. What the heck is kafar? And so, but look through your Bibles, look through your Strongs, and look through your Gesenius, and try to figure out any other place that kafar is ever translated as pitch. You'll never find it in any Hebrew writing ever. It's not pitch. It's something else. It's something we can't explain in the human language. He says, I want you to coat it with kafar. What is kafar? Kafar is this supernatural substance that he is going to take, and he wants you to coat it inside and out. Why? So that any seams or deficiencies or inadequacies or weaknesses in the wood, the gopher wood, which we provide, are sealed off completely, both from the inside and the outside. Now here's the secret. The day, the great day, is the day of Yom Kippur. P and F are the same word, same letter in Hebrew. We do the same thing in English. PH, F. It's the same thing. So it's Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur. The idea is it's the great day of this supernatural covering from the inside and from the outside. Not only can things not hurt us from the outside, we will not self-destruct from the inside because it's sealed off. This is the idea of what he's doing for us. And so it's like no matter what you bring to me, as long as you bring me the gopher wood, the wood that oozes the life force. If you bring me the wood that oozes the life force, it has the streaks of red running down it, you bring that to me. You bring me Yeshua. You bring me the one that I've given for this purpose. You give me the one that I've given to build this thing of redemption, this realm. You bring that to me, and I will take care of, together we are going to coat the inside and the outside of you with kafir, with kapar. And he's doing it, and that's the great day says that whenever you die to yourself and you appear before, Paul said this very fascinating thing that people get all, he said, it is appointed to man once to die, and then the judgment. If you're not a Hebrew, you don't get that at all. If you're not a Hebrew, it doesn't make no sense to you. You begin to think in terms of, okay, so there's a point of man wants to die, and then he dies, and he goes to meet the Lord. And they don't know he's talking about Yom Kippur. He's talking about Yom Kippur. There's a day appointed for us to die, for us to to be killed, to let ourselves die, to surrender ourselves. And that's when we present ourselves to him for judgment. This is the issue. It's not some eternal resting place. It's the rehearsal of an eternal resting place. And so here we are. He says, you understand what he wants to do for you. He wants eventually, one day, when you appear before him that final time, he wants you to know that he has covered you inside and out. If you have presented him the gopher wood. And he says the issue is, even right now, in this day, as we rehearse these things, understand I'm there with you. I'm even there right now. I got my paintbrush in my hand in your life. I see you, and I see that it is not perfect, and it's got seams, and all the stuff you're doing has got holes in it, gaps in it, seams in it. You can't do it all right. You're somewhere here on the continuum. Yeah, I'd like you to be further along, but you're still in the continuum wherever you are. And I see right now that what you've done is not satisfactory or sufficient to you or to me either. But you've got, first of all, you've got gopher. You've got gopher wood, and the second thing you've got is me coming behind you with the paintbrush. And I take what you've got and I seal it against that day. I am right now sealing it against that day. I'm right now sealing it against that day for you. I care that much about you, and I care that much about my plan. I'm right now into your life, over your life, sealing it against that day. I'm sealing the stuff out that doesn't need to be there. I'm sealing the stuff in that needs to be there. I'm sealing it over your life. Right now, this is what he's doing. And our job is to cooperate with him, not argue with him. I don't deserve that. I know. It has nothing to do with you deserving it. It has to do with my plan coming forth in you. Of me bringing forth into you, out of you, the things that I have designed for you. It's about your potential, not your behavior. So two things. Our job, die to self. Don't let ourselves get absorbed in works and things that we're supposed to be doing. And then bring forth gopher wood. Make sure we're carrying the right kind of wood into the day. Well, this is a great day, the Day of Atonement.